We're talking actors and directors who put on the shows.
We're talking playwrights and designers who you'll want to know.
From the very first rehearsal to the final curtain call.
We might be off Broadway, but we're talking about it all.
'Cause we're two local gals
with global pals. It's everything, everything, everything theater.
with Benita
And Ellen. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Everything Theater podcast, the podcast where we talk about
Everything Theater. Hi there, I'm Benita Zahn.
And I'm Ellen Cribbs, and I'm happy to tell you all that we are sponsored this week once again by Harbinger Theater. In collaboration with Union College, they're doing The Agony and the Agony by Nikki Silver. You have one last weekend to catch it. It runs until December 17th at the Ullman Theater. Tickets are only $15. Here's a quick synopsis. Hapless, hitless, and playwright Richard Aglow joins any 12-step group just to meet people. And he has finally started writing a play, and that's where the fun and trouble begin. Sexual duplicity, blackmail, and the ghost of Nathan Leopold converge on the Upper West Side as our characters, who may be short on talent but long on zeal, scratch, claw, and scheme for their piece of the theatrical pie. Check it out.
Sounds like life. Well, we're real excited to have Jonathan Whitton with us. And Jonathan, some of you may know, back a couple of years already, who was a real star here in the Capital Region up at Homemade Theater, which is how I had the good fortune to originally meet him. He had directed Homemade Theater's Urinetown and ran it like a pro house. And then I think we ran Jonathan out of town. After that, he packed up and he went to New York City, where you spent a good amount of time doing cabaret and getting wonderful notices.
Yeah, I haven't done cabaret in about 5 years now, but it's been really good to me down there. So someday I'll hit that stage again, I think.
But you went behind the stage in a way. You're not a producer. I have the exact title. I sent it, Ellen. You're
the general manager. I'm a general manager now.
Audible Theater.
Yeah, so Audible Theater, most people, in case you don't already know, Audible is an audiobook platform. Most people know it from, downloading Michelle Obama's recent book and listening to it when they jog, right? But recently, they've gotten more into original content, and they have a lease on a theater in the West Village, the Minetta Lane Theater. And for the past, almost 2.5, 3 years now, if you take the pandemic out of it, have been producing a number of live events there every single year. And it's a variety of programming, right? There's original content that are written by emerging playwrights whose sole intention is for it to become an audio play. Then there are 3 to 4 night special events. We've done music events with people like Common, Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine, and then Broadway adjacent type stuff with, we just did something with Jason Gauthier, and we're about to do one with Ava Noblezada from Hadestown. So that is sort of all-encompassing 52 weeks a year, all sorts of different programming that's occurring in that 399-seat off-Broadway house. And they have...
Minetta Lane is a well-known off-Broadway house.
In a kind of like funky, fun turn of events, Minetta Lane is where the original productions of Marvin's Room was, Most Fabulous Story Ever Told, Jeffrey, and The Last 5 Years. So it has a nice sense of history.
Other people's
and it's
money.
In the West Village. Yeah. Other people's money. That's right. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So it's cool to be down there and producing theater on the regular for them, and concerts and speaking events and all of those things. To get around to the point of it, it's a recording studio basically, set up for Dolby Atmos now, I believe. And everything gets recorded. Some of them are recorded live. Some of them are recorded in the studio. And then they get released on the platform so people all over the world can listen to it.
How much of an impact did the pandemic have on the success of Audible Theater?
Uh, I will say that I am one of the very, very lucky people in the sense that because people were so hungry for content because we were all homebound, right? Um, there was an article that was in the New York Times because Audible recorded the entire Williamstown Theater Festival season. There was a Streetcar Named Desire with Audra McDonald that got recorded. And the thing that's unique about it is that we can ship basically in a little suitcase an entire recording studio and you can just record it in your bathroom, right? So we were able to substantially scale up our production so that people could have more to consume. And it's sort of, we're operating the Minetta very similar to kind of a Netflix model where a lot of times we just throw a lot of stuff at the wall and then sometimes it really sticks. Like we were just the production of Long Day's Journey into Night that we produced that was around this time last year, start of the new year, was like on the New York Times best of lists that just came out yesterday. And it's like, there's something about what we're doing down there that is really unique. And we're also able to do cutting edge stuff because it's the Audible, which is part of Amazon sort of umbrella, who have the resources to really kick money forward in a way that operates very similar to how a nonprofit operates because we're able to cultivate young emerging playwrights and young voices and young actors and artists in a way that is beneficial to everybody really in the grand scheme of things.
Now, can we buy a ticket and go see the show?
Yeah, anytime. Yeah. So it's so the sort of like grand scheme of things, they sort of like I talk about it, I use my mom sort of as the framing device. It's like if my mom can't get up to New York City to see the show when it's actually happening live, at least 3 to 4 months from now, she's going to be able to listen to it in her car or on a jog in the neighborhood in South Carolina, right? And that's what's unique about what we're doing is we're able to expand the bandwidth of the stories that we're telling, you know, across the world.
How does it work since it is an audible platform and not visual? Are stage directions read, or how do plays need to be adapted for that?
It's sort of, you know, that's a really good question. The plays, when they are either commissioned or they're selected to be produced on Audible, it's there aren't stage directions read, and each of the playwrights has a sort of but not really a sort of, has a mandate to make sure that whatever stories they're telling are being created for an audio experience. Like, what is it going to sound like in your ears? And we just produced the largest show that we've done down at the Minetta, which was a new play about the Chinese Cultural Revolution called Good Enemy by Juilliard playwright Elong Liu, directed by Che Yu, that was sort of the biggest scale version of anything that we've done. There was like a pool on stage. And so while there are elements of it that are really spectacular to experience in person, it doesn't necessarily negate the experience of also listening to it in your ears, is kind of what we're going for. And obviously, like the more cabaret style things, we don't like to call them cabarets, but the concert series that we do, those have a sort of in the room with the artist vibe anyway. So it's very special.
Do I have to sign on as a subscriber, or can I buy a show at a time?
You have to be an Audible subscriber, Benita.
The audience wants to know. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, you have to be an Audible subscriber. there's the Audible original sort of bucket underneath it. So what I'm doing for all of these is as general manager, I'm managing the day-to-day contracts and marketing and generally managing all of it.
So how do you go from being a cabaret performer to being a general manager for this organization?
It's a really good question. I ever since I was 4 years old, all I ever wanted to do was wake up every single day and go to a theater. And I have been really, it's not lost on me that I'm really blessed and lucky that pretty much for the entirety of my life, I've been able to do that. And even during even during COVID, when everyone was at home, I was still able to work with artists every single day to make all of this stuff for Audible. And when I went to Skidmore in Saratoga Springs, which is sort of my connection to the capital region originally, I sort of pivoted into more administrative work at the same time as directing there, but I was still kind of acting. And I sort of, it's like we're going on a date, Benita. I'm telling you everything about me. I
That's what people do with me, Jonathan.
I know. Hey. But I sort of realized that I liked the overarching management of the building, because people that know me well, you don't know me well, Ellen, but I really like to be in control of things. And so when you're the general manager of something, like, you have control over a lot of things. And so I kind of, the way that it works, I didn't know that general management was even a job until I graduated Skidmore, quite honestly. When I got to New York City, I was working in the box office at Second Stage, and there was a company management position, which is kind of the concierge, takes care of all of the actors, takes care of the crew, manages all the day-to-day with actors, artist relations in tandem with the management of the building. And that was I stepped into the company management position, and that was the first time that I even knew that that was a real job, which is fascinating to me because, I grew up in the theater, and I didn't even know that I knew that there were people that managed contracts and stuff, but I didn't realize that was people actually have a career doing that. And so I just found that I really took to it, and I was good at it, and it just sort of grew. And in my time at Second Stage, we opened the Helen Hayes Theater and did that $30 million renovation. And there just came a point where I realized that after 15 years at Second Stage, it was time to move on and do something else. And this job at Baseline, which is a general management firm in the city for commercial theater, primarily known for managing Hamilton, they were looking for someone to help out in this particular job. And I just sort of swept in and started to do something new. So yeah, that's kind of how it happened, in a very long-winded talky version of it. But yeah.
Now, how about our actors who are listening to say, I want to do an Audible play? Are there casting calls out for this, or is it you kind of need to be involved with a production that gets turned into an Audible production?
Yeah, I mean, we've actually just made a little bit of a switch, where we've been hiring casting directors that are casting the individual live productions. There are a lot of times where our individual producers from the Audible side are casting actors for their audio plays that are just going direct to audio. But yeah, we have casting agencies that are casting shows all the time, and look out for them.
I'm going to sing Ellen's praises. Ellen does voiceover work. That's her.
Oh, awesome.
That's her 9 to 5.
Oh, wow.
Or
Okay,
midnight
that's amazing.
to 3 a.m., whenever.
I know. Sometimes it's late at night when you decide to do it, right?
When the kids are asleep.
Totally.
And there are, and she obviously, I'm going to sing her praises till the cows come home. And there's the former mayor of Saratoga, Mike Lenz, does
Oh, wow.
audio. You were in town, I think, with him. He's a pharmacist by training. He had Curtis and Menges. If anybody's from Saratoga, this area, the fabulous drugstore that has some of their own, potions, if you will, creams and all. And he's done very well doing audio books and things of that sort. So to piggyback on Ellen's question, is that the type of performer you guys are looking for, or is it that you're taking stage performers and putting them into this role?
It works two ways, actually. From my standpoint, the projects that I've been working on, it's primarily stage actors that are being thrust into audio. A lot of them have audio experience already, but for the most part, it's like New York City stage actors that are moving in and doing the audio side of it all.
And if somebody has a project that they want to do, I'll call it a vanity project, but a project, can they come to you and say, look, I would like to do Love, Loss, and What I Wore. I want to do that as an Audible.
Yeah, I mean, those projects can come to me and I can help get them to the right people. I am more on the managerial side than on the artistic side, so I don't have as much.
Jonathan fed me. I not necessarily you, Jonathan.
Oh, you got it.
You Audible. So this is where we're going to take a moment.
Yes.
Harbinger Theater, two local performers, directors, actors who created Harbinger Theater, and they've got the Agony and the Agony right now, which Ellen told us about at the beginning, and it runs through the 17th. And what if they wanted a wider audience, and they have this unique project, which gets great reviews? You could say we're in the hinterlands, but come on, that there's good theater going on around here.
No, I know there's good theater happening everywhere, and actually often it's when you go the other places that you realize that's where all the really good stuff is, right? I sent Benita a photograph of a middle school production of Urinetown that I just saw in Hoboken, which is I hadn't seen that show in close to, I mean, since we did it. I hadn't heard it, and it was so great. Anyway, but to answer your actual question, yes, there is a through line at Audible where you can submit things to be considered for production on the Audible platform. But there's also, I mean, I've found that maybe I shouldn't say this because I work for Audible, but there are a number of different ways where people have been creating their own content and sending it out, similar to like a podcast, similar to what you're doing right now. But audio plays became more of a thing that are getting released out in the world on Spotify and other platforms that I shouldn't name because they're competing. But you know what I mean?
But you guys do it better.
You thank you very much.
And so are you still performing at this point, or are you just completely moved over to the management side?
At the current moment, I feel like my performing days are behind me. I had a really nice run of doing cabaret stuff in New York City, and I got some really nice notices and some lovely awards, and there may come a point where I decide that I want to get on a stage and sing again, but at the current moment, I'm pretty happy doing what I'm doing, which allows me time to go to the British Virgin Islands where I'm sitting right now. So
yes,
I have to say, so
with really good Wi-Fi, I was nervous. It's not now. It's going to cut out.
No. But when I dabbled, I did some cabaret, and the first time, and you probably won't recall, and I think you had given me this bit of advice, or maybe it was just that this is what you said in your show. But generally, one person cabaret is about 14 songs, And it's not
Uh,
like rock singers, you have a lot of bands where they've got in front of them. It's all.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you made a comment early in your show that said, now listen, however it went, but the odds are you're going to blow a lyric someplace. So let me just get that out right now and let's go on with the show. And
Yeah,
I thought, wow,
totally.
that really takes the edge, the worry off. So
Yeah.
I stole your line, Jonathan.
You're welcome to steal whatever you want,
Thank
Benita.
you. And one night I went up like my second to last song. I don't know if it was the energy. I'd like chilled, so it wasn't as focused. I went, see, Jonathan Whitton said this would happen.
Oh Lord. I, I mean, the thing is, and part of the reason too, it's like I've gotten away from acting because there came a point, like I was doing a lot of one person shows and it kind of felt like that was all that I was doing. So like I would do the cabaret stuff, I did Hedvig, I kept doing Santaland Diaries, I did cabaret, which I know it's not really a one person show, but as the MC, it's kind of like you're just basically responsible for yourself.
Mhm.
And it got kind of lonely. So like because you know this too, Benita, it's like you walk out there and like if you're doing that one person show, it's like you got you, right? There's nobody else. Maybe there's a stage manager. Please God, I hope you like that stage manager because it's like it's really hard and it's really scary. And so your entire interaction becomes with the people that are in front of you, right? Your audience. And it's really hard to like look at another person and react off of them when you've been doing it with an audience for so long and not having to actually engage with another human being across the stage. So the other thing, and this is part of the reason that I don't want to go back to acting, is like when you spend so much time taking care of actors, it makes you not want to do it anymore. It does. So
Ellen's going to jump in. She's got a couple, but before we move into the lightning round, and you touched on it before we began the official recording, the change in theater because of the pandemic, and coming through that. What are you seeing?
I think that we are in the middle of a major sea change in the American theater. That is a result of the Black Lives Matter movement. That is the result of We See You, white American theater. And these are all amazing things. I am part of a nonprofit that we started in the middle of the pandemic called Beyond the Stage Door, which is solely dedicated towards providing opportunities for young BIPOC students in the United States who have a primary interest in stage management and general management, which are two positions where a lot of actors say, I wish that I could walk into a room and see people that look like me. And a lot of the reason that we're not seeing that is because, similar to what I was talking about earlier, like I didn't know that this job existed. So we are putting a lot of effort into ensuring that colleges around the United States know that they can come to New York, they can train in our office and meet the best in the business, and then hopefully set them up with stepstones so that they can find a job as soon as they get to New York City, so that we can help to cultivate POCs in our business.
It's fantastic work.
Yeah, we're proud of it.
And
Beyond the Stage Door, look it up.
Beyond the Stage Door, we will share a link on our Facebook page.
Great,
but on to something completely different. We do end our show with something called the close-up. It's just some rapid fire questions all about you, Jonathan. So Jonathan, are you ready for your close-up?
Okay, okay. Yes, I'm ready.
Yes. What was the moment in your life where you just knew I have to do theater?
When I saw Gene Kelly and Singing in the Rain,
Oh, and
hands down.
what was it about that made you need to do it?
I don't even remember. I was 4.5 years old. My mom still recalls the day that I watched Gene Kelly and Singing in the Rain, and I looked at her and I said, "Mom, I want to sing and dance and be an actor."
And what was her reaction?
They sent me to dance classes and acting classes the next week.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
My parents have been nothing but supportive my entire life. I am very, very lucky. I know that they wish that I had been a doctor, but they have been more than supportive in this absolutely insane journey. And it took a really long time to get there, but we did it.
Is there any specific show, musical, play that you've read, worked on, seen that had a huge impact on your life?
The Laramie Project. And I would say similar to that, Falsettos. But the Laramie Project, because it's Skidmore and it was one of the first productions at a college in the United States. And I remember picking up that script when it was still in sort of manuscript form and reading it and like not putting it down until 2 a.m. and really being shaken by the story and that it could happen anywhere. And I finally actually got to go to Laramie. I had I guess, a midlife crisis in the middle of the pandemic, and I drove cross country. And my entire life, all I've wanted to do was visit Laramie. I know it sounds like not my entire life, but since college. And I finally got to go, and I went to the spot that he died, and I went to the bench on the University of Wyoming campus, and it was pretty remarkable. So I would say the Laramie Project.
And since you are working with Audible, is there a play out there that you think this should be done on an Audible platform and it hasn't been done yet?
A play? Oh, wow. I have a lot of them. I've recently started rereading a Marcia Norman play called uh, not the laundromat. Why can't I remember the name of it? But it's a Marcia Norman play that takes place inside of a laundromat. And God, I can't believe I can't remember the name of it. I'm so embarrassed. But it's a
Yeah, don't
beautiful
be. I
play.
do that almost every show. Yeah.
They turned it into a movie. Robert Altman directed it. Meryl Streep was in it. But I think it's due for a revival, and I think that it would make a perfect audio play.
I love that. Benita's probably looking it up.
Yeah.
That's what we do on the show. Like, what?
I
what
want
is
to
that?
say it's called like Fifth and Vine. That's not what it's called, though. I'm gonna lose my mind. I just bought the book. I like walked into the drama bookstore and bought the collection of Marcia Norman's plays because I was like, I have to own it. It's not getting out. I can
Which I
think of
did.
every.
I didn't realize that was Marcia Norman. Hello.
Marcia Norman, Streep. I'm Google.
It's called The Laundromat.
Oh, it is called The Laundromat. Okay, I was right.
You knew what you're talking about all the time, Jonathan.
Great. It's called The Laundromat. That's the one.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We got there.
Well, unfortunately, we are running out of time for this episode, but I do want to remind our listeners to go check out Harbinger Theater's production of The Agony and the Agony. You have until December 17th, and it's in collaboration with Union College, which is very, very cool. $15 tickets available on Eventbrite or at the door. Check it out.
And check out Audible, all the shows that are going on. Take a look. Maybe if you're in the city, see what's going on at the Minetta Lane. Head on over. And Jonathan, how delightful to spend some time with you and learn about all this.
Oh, so great to see you, and so nice to meet you, Ellen.
It was lovely meeting you too. And to our listeners, thank you so much. We'll catch you next time. I'm Ellen Cribbs.
And I'm Benita Zahn. You will.
Thank you so much for listening to the Everything Theater podcast. Special thanks goes out to Alice Grinling for our photography and Justin Friello for composing our amazing theme song. Please remember to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you want to share your thoughts or what's going on in your theater community, you can reach out to us on social media or through our email at everythingtheaterpodcast@gmail.com. Till next time, it's everything, everything.